This is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
A Tasmanian man has been left devastated after a fire took hold of his house in Bridport overnight. The blaze was so intense, crews were unable to save anything from the inferno, including the owner's pet cat.
Only scorched sheets of corrugated iron resemble what was once a home. Around 8 o'clock last night, the owner of this remote Barnbougle Road property at Bridport was in his workshop when the tragedy unfolded.
He walked out to see what was going on and he noticed some smoke coming from the house, and he went down inside and noticed flames coming from around the couch area in the lounge.
It was too late by the time help arrived. The property was well alight, the owner enduring a heartbreaking loss.
He was a very avid pet owner. He had quite a few cats, and unfortunately he's lost one of his cats in the fire.
Also inside, old sporting medals, some belonging to his father. Most of his possessions are badly burnt. The Tasmania Fire Service says the property was not insured and the damage bill is estimated to top $50,000. Crews from Bridport and Scottsdale were quick to respond, extinguishing the blaze in half an hour. Investigators on scene this morning say the fire was caused by a faulty phone charger.
Just a timely reminder for people just to make sure that their mobile phones and their mobile phone chargers are working adequately and that they are checked frequently.
Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
A second Bass Strait power cable is now on the National Infrastructure Priority List, but it's unclear who will be funding the project. The state and federal governments are awaiting a feasibility study into the second cable as the legal dispute with Basslink deepens.
Tasmania's status as the battery of the nation is strengthening. A second Bass Strait power cable now seen as an initiative of national significance.
We think this project has, or initiative has, possibilities for the future, and that's why we recognise it as a longer term initiative with a 10 to 15 year timescale.
A second cable will provide further capacity to export and import power with Victoria. The Tasmanian government already chipping in half of the $20 million feasibility study for a business case later this year.
There's a lot of work that has to be done with respect to the capacity, the capability, the geography and a host of other issues.
They've had years to develop and do the work that's required to build the business case and to build the case for funding from state and federal governments. Clearly they haven't done the work.
The case for funding is the major question mark. Arguments emerging over who stands to benefit from the project that's estimated to cost up to $1 billion.
The Victorians are looking at their own wind resources and saying that they're going to build wind farms and deliver that energy into Tasmania.
But it's arguments surrounding the current power cable deepening today. Government lawyers claiming for damages of more than $120 million from Basslink for the 2015 cable fault.
There's a notice of dispute. I don't intend to provide any further running commentary.
It's expected to be a long and expensive process. Uncertainties surrounding the impacts of a gas-fired power station mothballing and the spike in multi-million-dollar clean energy certificates received by Hydro.
The question really is around what was the commercial motive to generate over the baseline levels for those dams.
We don't know so much about this crisis. There's still the letter that the Treasurer is refusing to release. Secrecy is the hallmark of this Hodgman Liberal government.
Secrets that could soon be laid bare in court. Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
One of the state's most highly respected energy company bosses has resigned. Ray Mustogel will step down from his position as General Manager of Bell Bay Aluminium on April 27. He's the company's second longest serving General Manager and has been thanked for helping Bell Bay grow and stay sustainable. Mr Mustogel will also resign from being the President of the Tasmanian Mineral and Energy Council at its next board meeting. It's understood he'll take a holiday after April and then explore other career and business options once he returns home. Back home, it's been a day of disruption at childcare centres across the state as workers walked off the job. Their action targeting the federal government, calling on them to intervene and boost their pay in line with their qualifications.
Childcare workers walking off the job at 30 Tasmanian centres today, hopping on board a nationwide day of action, fighting for higher rates of pay.
What do we want? Equal pay! When do we want it? Now!
Staff rallying on Parliament lawns to add their voice to the debate.
Anger.
That is the overwhelming feeling. It's anger. These educators have been fighting for professional wages for going on 10 years now, and no action has been taken.
The union recently lost its case in the Independent Fair Work Commission, leaving affected workers on the current wages, which are as low as $21 an hour. Staff say that's undervalued, considering qualifications are needed.
So if you think of $10,000 just to get that qualification, and that's the minimum standard, and you're earning $21 an hour, and you've obviously got bills to pay, families to support, it's just not enough.
The impact of shutting the centre and the educators walking off today sure has a massive impact, but it's something that I, support full-heartedly.
In response to today's action, the Federal Education Minister says it's up to centres to pay as much as they can afford, and it's not for the federal government to run the facilities.
We really feel that it's a government responsibility now. Our relationships are very close with our families, but we don't want to ask them for more money.
A stalemate that's set to continue. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
The Tasmanian government says it will issue a please explain to Victoria over another fruit fly incursion. Larvae was found in a grapefruit recently sold at the Hill Street grocer in South Hobart. It's been traced back to the mainland state, where it apparently went through a pest treatment facility.
The reality is that fumigation is not 100% effective 100% of the time, no matter how well it's done. And it may well be that this is just one of those ones that finds its way through that system.
Our Minister will have contact with the relevant authorities in Victoria. There are some concerns with respect to Victoria and the combating of fruit fly. That remains a concern for us here in Tasmania.
Authorities confirmed this afternoon the treatment facility involved hasn't been banned from processing fruit bound for Tasmania. A hearing date has been set for a Tasmanian company charged over a fatal workplace incident. Woolston Printing denies accusations it failed to comply with its health and safety duty when an employee was crushed and later died at its Western Junction site in 2014. Representatives from WorkSafe Tasmania and Woolston Printing were in court today as the legal case resumed. The matter will now be heard over 4 days, starting on April 16. 2 additional days in August have also been allocated in case the hearing runs longer. The Dorset Council says work is progressing smoothly on the multi-million-dollar Western Access Road to Bridport 2 months after construction began. An underpass for livestock was installed today, with the road due to be open early next year. The project will cut travel time to Bridport and provide a second exit out of town in the case of an emergency. It's also expected to divert trucks away from the town centre. Tasmanians are being urged to get to know their neighbours to help improve the lives of our youngest generation. To celebrate National Neighbour Day, free music and activities were today on offer in the Quadrant Mall.
And this year the theme is looking out for children and young people as well. And there is a saying that it takes a village to raise a child, and that is so true, but more difficult these days in the modern way that we live.
Relationships Australia says creating a tight-knit community is as simple as smiling at a neighbour or saying hello. Research has also found mental and physical health is improved in connected neighbourhoods. Now a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. Australian shares have closed higher, led by the big miners, but with broad-based gains following strong overnight leads from Wall Street as fears of a trade war between the US and China receded. The ASX 200 index has risen by 41.8 points. And a short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 77.31 US cents and 106.03 US cents.
A class showing from Matt Renshaw has guided Queensland to victory in the Sheffield Shield final against Tasmania a short time ago. The Tigers put on a gallant second innings this morning before a lengthy rain delay forced them to declare and attempt the near impossible task of bowling the Bulls all out within a few hours. Needing nothing short of a miracle, Silk and Doolan switched into T20 mode.
Smashed down the ground, Alex Doolan opening up the shoulders.
With nothing to lose and everything to gain, Doolan was just getting warmed up.
Wildermuth gets pulled away. There is a man who sweeps him, but he's not tall enough. Over the top of the mid-wicket boundary for 6.
Following a form slump with the bat, the opener responded by notching up his 50 in emphatic fashion. Silk bringing up his own half-ton shortly after, before Doran stepped things up another gear.
The same as Doolan. Wow. What a shot!
here. This time Alex Doolan giving himself some room and plonks it on the top of the marquee.
His fellow opener refused to be outdone.
Silku gives himself some room, and he's hit that for an enormous 6 on top of the Queensland cricket roof.
Silk had one more 6 left in him for the morning before the electric partnership was brought to an end.
It's an all-out attack here with the Tigers, and this time it's out.
It's out. The Brisbane sky turning black shortly after, halting play for several hours and raising serious questions about the Allan Borderfield's drainage capabilities. In a last-ditch effort for victory, the Tigers declared 128 runs in front before play resumed, setting themselves the massive task of bowling out the entire Bulls order with just a couple of hours left to play. But the home side's openers held steady at the crease, with Renshaw belting 81 off 83 balls not out to guide the side to victory a short time ago. With just 9 days until the Hobart Chargers' first game of the Siebel season, Mathang Muo has arrived back in town with some unfinished business for 2018. And the Star Import says he shares coach Anthony Stewart's sentiment that the squad, which will also include new point guard Trey Nichols and NBL forward Craig Moller, is championship material.
Probably better than last year, but you never know what the team chemistry is going to be like going through the season. So had my first practice yesterday and it was really good practice.
Muo says he turned down offers from several other clubs, including reigning champions Mount Gambier, to return to Hobart, while club president David Bartlett had this message to fans ahead of tip-off.
The very best thing they can do is buy a ticket to a Chargers game, come along, fill the deck up, because that will be the very clearest message to the NBL that we can sustain a team.
The side takes on Kilsyth at the deck next Friday night. Well, it's considered one of the best teams in the statewide league's long history, and now the 1987 North Hobart side is set to be immortalised, selected for induction into the Tasmanian Football Hall of Fame under the legendary team category. Led by former Geelong and Richmond player Gary Davidson, the side, seen here playing North Launceston during the 87 season, broke a 13-year premiership drought for the club when it defeated Glenorchy in the grand final, having dropped just 2 games all season.
We were such a good side, we had so much talent that all we had to bring was commitment and desire, and we knew that no one would get anywhere near us, and that's basically what happened in 87.
The win setting the club up for further success, with the D's going on to claim the 89, 91 and 92 premierships.
We kicked more than 20 goals, like 16 times, so it was a really high scoring team, just very hard to stop.
The side will be officially inducted in June. And finally, Devonport's Wayne Stubbs has won the singles title at the... It comes after the Qist claimed the World 8-ball title as part of the Australian Masters team last year.
Good evening. Hobart had 19 today, and that was the warmest around the state. Launceston 18 degrees, Burnie 16 and Devonport 17. Temperatures mostly sat below average as a low moved away to the southeast. Flinders Island, Lowhead, Friendly Beaches, Ooze and Flinders Island all 18 degrees. King Island 17, Smithton Grove and Strawn 16 degrees. Extensive low-level cloud today over the western south of Tasmania. Some middle-level cloud drifted over the rest of the state this afternoon. On the bigger picture, plenty of cloud with that trough and low pressure zone to our east, which also sucked a cold pool of air over our region. Ex-tropical cyclone Nora has set up camp over Cape York, and active thunderstorms are there and over the top end. The rest of the nation fairly clear, bit over Western Australia. Tomorrow the high moves well to the east as a trough and cold front push towards Tasmania. Another front south of WA. The monsoon trough remains over the far north. Winds will shift west-northwesterly tomorrow, reaching 30 knots over southern waters and to 20 knots inland. Strong wind warning in the south from Tasman Island to Sandy Cape and up around the west coast. For tomorrow, a partly cloudy 25 for Hobart, 24 the top for Geeveston, partly cloudy for Bothwell and 23 the maximum. Launceston, early showers clearing, 23 the top, 22 for Devonport. Morning showers as well for Cressy and 23. Burnie early showers 22, 21 for Strawn and Curry King Island a shower or 2 and 21 degrees. St Helens early showers 23 up to 24 for Swansea and Orford. The UV settling down now for our last week of reporting. On to Thursday and showers over the west extending to the central and south later, fine in the north and a sunny 22 over the east. Showers on Friday contracting to the west and far south in the evening, partly cloudy to kick off the weekend with a shower for the islands and the west. A sunny 25 in Perth tomorrow, partly cloudy in Adelaide and Melbourne, mostly sunny and warm by comparison in Sydney and Canberra, 28s there, a shower for Brisbane and sunny over Alice Springs.
I look forward to joining you all tomorrow night at 6. Thanks for your company this evening. Bye for now.